So of course, right? Like I know, like when you have an ad hom argument, right? They have to accept the premises, right? But it's their acceptance of the premises that allows you to draw the tension. Right? So just pointing out that they have to accept the premises, that's some sort of like deflationary point.
Yeah. No, I think agree with you, but I think the ad hoc would kind of be like, it's not necessarily a function or I guess it's a function argument, but it's not a part of the argument. The ad hoc comes in when you have like this kind of like understanding of their background beliefs too, on top of the premises subjects, right?
But that's not
I think I agree with you there.
Yeah.
But the point that I think I agree with Albedo is that like all arguments are ad hoc in the way you describe it is just the fact that they have to accept the premises need to be motivated. Like the argument doesn't function if they don't accept the premises. I think that's true of every argument. The ad hoc is just the idea that like there's going to be background tension. Right? And then you feel the character.
Accept the premises for arguments to be forceful. Like you can have a specific argument for a premise, right? And they can like think that argument for the premise is like generally successful or whatever, right? But like they don't have to like accept the premise before you like start talking to them about the argument. But that is a requirement for an ad hoc argument, right? Because an ad hoc argument, when you're creating it, right, when you're like like determining what it's going to be addressing, right?
Motivational.
You're only addressing a certain subset.
No, I agree with you there, but like by motivational there, you just mean that like persuasive intuition wise or something, right? Like, I mean, I can agree there, but I think like in terms of it's like being applicable functionally, right? Or to have the motivation that like the conclusion does follow in the way that should persuade the person. I do think that is a function of the perception of the premises.
Well, only in deductive arguments.
Well, I mean, that's going to be true for inductive ones. This be like you can say it's improbably true or something,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but like that's fine. I mean, that's still motivational.
Like you can get like more likely than not premises, right? That are like
no, that's fine. That's still. But the idea there is that like
likely, right? You're determined on like more likely than alternative in an
Yeah, but the idea there is that like that probability claim is going to follow in some function, right? Given the argument.
I'm not sure what do you mean by follow, given
even an inductive argument, right? It's like I don't mean follow inductively. I mean like it's gonna like the conclusion is true given those things. If the premises 1 and 2 are true, the conclusion is likely true, right? Like
but
that's like a function of the argument.
I can just be comparing a.
No, I know.
Yeah,
I know what induction is, bro. I'm just saying inductively. That's why you said likely. I was picking out the language you use. I'm saying, but that is like the function of the argument is that motivation. It's supposed to illuminate that for the person, right? Like I agree with you that like I could give someone an argument. They can even think about the premises being true, but they can have an intuition about it or something. Like whatever. That's fine, right? But like I think the point Abino was saying is that like that relation or that motivation is like the kind of function of why we give arguments in the first place.
Like okay, so like I look at it like this. Like you tell me where you get off this ship, right? I look at it like this. If like me and you have a disagreement, right? I can do like one of two things, right? Like I can give you an argument, right, that I think I have like support for the premises that you may or may not agree with.
Yeah.
Right? And we can discuss like what I think is my support, and then we can discuss like whether or not you think like the thing's valid and sound kind of thing, right? So that's one way I could go. The other way I could go is I could very narrowly tailor an argument to your specific professed beliefs, and I could show a contradiction.
Yeah, and that's like an add-on,
Yes, and they're completely different. That's all I'm trying to point out to.
I don't know if it's completely different, but I do think like in the sense that you're saying is that, especially the evidential problem of evil, that clearly isn't addressing the person's personal beliefs, right? More so like about their like kind of like that's why I say it's like about like Christian commitments. And like it necessarily like seems to be engaging with background beliefs. But they're gonna be forms of arguments that don't need that, right? I think we agree there. So yeah.
No,
the point I'm saying, but I think Albino's point was that like the motivational part is like true of any argument given the premises being accepted or something. But like I don't know, he was just being overly combative with you.
No, it's fine. Like shit happens.
He was doing that shit where like he's like I'm a black belt, so I'm gonna like wrestle.
But I did make a bunch of mistakes. I did say some stupid stuff.
That's propositional involvability, bro.
Yeah. The propositional stuff is really bad.
I got a question for you two then, or a statement, and I want to hear your opinion on it. So someone says, and this is the argument like I would make. well, I wouldn't make this. I would oppose it. You'll see. Someone says, believes in the creation story, right? Everything's created, Earth is created, humans are created, and they always bring up, everything takes a mind. So they'll bring up like a computer. But I would say, if you can't distinguish what's uncreated,
claiming. So, for instance, they're claiming that the ICE just showed up because. Okay, you were there. What are you saying occurred again? One more time.
This happened in DC. They came we're literally in Capitol Hill. It's a whole block that has restaurants, and my bakery is amongst the businesses that's on there. All the businesses on the block, just one. And when they went to that business, this was them trying to find out who works there, etc., etc. And the backstory is this person used to work for the Republican Party, and he left because of the January 6th, what happened. So it's a personal vendetta. So it doesn't, and this is what's currently going on, because everybody is thinking, oh, you get the news from CNN. No, people have personal stories and personal encounters.
Yeah, but you don't know for sure what lead they were operating on. You're not on the inside of what the ICE.
But the lead is false, is what I'm trying
How
to
do you
say.
know it's false? If you don't know what lead they're operating on, whatever brought them to that,
Business.
but you don't know what actually brought them to that establishment. You don't know what lead they were working on. You don't know who they had under surveillance. You're just operating off of your vantage point as a person on the outside.
But I just told you he's my business neighbor, and he doesn't have anybody working for him that is not American.
Okay, but what I'm saying is you don't know what brought ICE to his establishment. You don't know what information they were operating on. Yeah. Whether the information be false or not, people get false information. What I'm saying is, how do you know that ICE didn't go there on the basis of something that was legitimate? That's my question to you.
But it's not.
The answer is you don't know.
No, but it's not legitimate, because if it was legitimate, they would have gotten who they're looking for. It's not legitimate.
So, no, wait a minute. You can operate on a legitimate basis and then get there and then the person is not there, or get there and maybe got misinformation. It doesn't mean that they made it up and said, oh, we're just going to hunt down people who are here illegally. That's what you're trying to conclude?
Okay,
you don't have enough information. You don't have enough information to make that strong conclusion.
Okay, so then if we're doing raids, right, how come of all the businesses, and there are several businesses on the strip, more than 40 businesses, why did they only go to one establishment?
To the question, that's a question for ICE, not a question for Manfinity. And for you to make a strong conclusion to the opposite, that, oh, they went there because they were targeted, that's also premature. You don't have enough information to make any strong conclusion. That's what I'm trying to suggest.
But we have the information that this is something that's happening all across the board. They're grabbing people left and right, even grabbing American citizens like, oh, sorry, my bad. They grabbed a vet the other day. We spoke about this. And he's like, I'm a vet. I served. I'm a citizen. If we have the resources to go after them, we shouldn't be making errors like this, wasting taxpayer dollars, going to a vet.
I agree with you. I agree with you, but I don't have any I never had the expectation that this effort, deportation effort, was going to be executed flawlessly. And that's not to leave them off the hook. They should be held accountable. Anytime they frustrate the life of an American citizen who's just minding their own business, they should be held accountable. They should have to explain for themselves. All of that. But if you had the expectation that this execution was going to be 100% perfect and flawless, I've got a Brooklyn Bridge to tell you. Okay, there's going to be errors. There's going to be mistakes. And I agree with you. There shouldn't be. But I'm a project manager. We can have the best of intentions, but when the rubber hits the road, things happen. And we got to, the problem is they continue to do the problem after they've made aware of it, that's another issue. But once they're made aware of an issue, if they try to correct it, give people the grace. Stop acting like they're this Gestapo. They're not.
Yeah, but they're moving like a Gestapo, bro. They grabbed a kid in Harlem the other day. People are like, who are you? What is going on? They grabbed the guy coming from court just 2 days ago, went viral. Coming from court, the judge gave him a stay. They still took his ass. He looked like a white man. He look European. So it's this Gestapo attitude. They're not listening to judges. They're not doing due process. They're just not fucking following the Constitution. Everyone should have a problem with this. They could grab your black ass to say, we don't want to hear shit, we're taking it. You might get out. You might get out.
Sorry, I can't speak loud.
Go
Did
ahead.
you hear what he said? That Manfinity said, if anything that frustrates the life of an American citizen unnecessarily, we should trash them for that. And I know that you guys don't like that we make a distinction between an American citizen and a legal alien who jumped over the border, but that's where my mind makes a clear delineation. And as a project manager, myself, a manager of project managers, we try and implement things to the best efforts that we can. It doesn't mean that you're always looking for the worst intentions, projecting the worst intentions onto these people. Maybe they are trying to do the mission, and these people get caught up in it. That happens. That's okay. And you're going to have that, especially when, think about if you're working at the local Blockbuster Video in 2000 or 1999, and your manager has been letting you smoke weed and shoot smack in the basement of Blockbuster for the last 10 years, and all of a sudden you get a boss who actually cares and knows how to do his job. Of course people are going to be mad. They're like, what the fuck? We used to be able to shoot dope between our toes at the register, and now you're telling me I got to show up to work on time like a new boss is in town, a new sheriff is in town. That's going to be uncomfortable for people and make them upset. It's a great analogy.
Horrible analogy. I think it makes it's a good point. That people are upset that we're finally implementing a level of,
I'm not upset. What's wrong with that? No, I'm not upset about that. Enforce the laws of the book. But again, when people are afraid and people are getting caught up and people that were allowed to stay and all of a sudden like, no, your TPS
Please don't scroll.
Why
I'm just
are
trying
we
to
doing
become
that?
a big content creator.
Why are we doing
Please don't
that?
scroll.
What does the T
To
stand for?
admitting
TPS.
distance, to admitting
Yes,
distance,
it's
to
separate, but
admitting.
But they need, hang on, how is that?
I'll finish the statement again. You don't just throw your temporary protected status out the window and say, get the fuck out of America. Give them due process, especially if they're individuals that are contributing to the economy, working their jobs, and they're not the people that cross the border illegally. Go after them. Why are you going after the people that are actually trying to live out the American dream, are getting up every day and going to work and following the law? Why go after them?
Because we don't have infinite resources and we don't have the luxury of just going to
Infinite resources for people that are working. They're working.
We don't have the luxury. We don't have the luxury of just going after this
Taking
group of
the
people,
vengeance
leaving
on
this
us
group
to
of
be
people alone.
self-evident.
It's an all of the
All
above
men are
approach
created
because we're in
equal.
crisis
But they
mode.
are
If you
endowed
don't
by
get
their
that, if you don't understand that,
showing that you lack just
you're
what is
not in a
most
position of
important and
governing a
necessary
country.
to
You can
happiness.
sit back on this chair
What
and
the only
hold
talking
your
about is
arms
so
and make all the
strange that
criticisms that you
please
want.
don't
When
scroll.
you're actually in
Just
charge of
please
running a
don't
country of over
scroll.
350 million people and there's finite resources and you have to make tough decisions, okay? This is what you get. Bold leadership who's not afraid to make You guys be anything with that. I love that. Thanks,
Please don't scroll. Please don't scroll.
I love the way she be talking.
Please don't scroll.
Yeah, you can but anytime.
Let me ask you a question. Do you fully
Please don't
understand
scroll.
how the
Please don't scroll.
immigration process
Dominating the
works?
headlines.
No, not fully.
Okay.
Dominate.
Do you know that when somebody comes in, and I'm talking about when somebody comes in,
Outlining the roads to use.
they have no access to public recourse. Contrary to what you guys believe, nobody takes any benefit that is not from America. Under any circumstance.
I understand that's what it says on paper.
No,
That's
it's
not how it actually
Okay, everybody, this is what-
yes, it is.
It takes years
Please don't. I wasn't born here. I wasn't raised here, right? I came here 40 years ago choose one.
are 7
Because the
keys
law
to
on the
the
book
gr-
says if you're
There are
working
se-
for a company as a non-US citizen,
like-
you don't get to pay tax unless you become
Yes,
a
for your
permanent
name.
resident or a US citizen. I
Yeah.
paid tax into your system for 17 years.
What kind of
Or
company?
demons have no
It doesn't matter because I'm not going
How
to.
does it matter? Is it
No,
for
it
a
doesn't.
landscaper? It's different.
No,
We have
no,
corporate
no. Well, I'm not a
Anybody else
landscaper
that
because I came here thinking I've got
still
3 college
does.
degrees.
So,
200 grand more college degree. So no, I'm not a
Anybody else
landscaper.
that matters.
Right?
Jubilee,
Okay,
you
so
still.
You have a different experience than the
Right.
vast majority of people who come across the southern border
Fine.
or any
Well,
border.
hold on one second. But the point that I'm trying to make is this, right? This is the point that I'm trying to make. You have to have an American citizen that is willing to tell the American government that they will sponsor you for 10 years of your life in these United States, including their families. So when you're saying when you're saying these people are relying on the system, that is not accurate because somebody who's American that already has their own family, let's say it's 2.4, right? Let's say it's a 2.4. Now they've got you and somebody else that they've got to show that they're above the poverty line to support you whilst you're here because they don't. Like, guys, if there's anything, listen, I'm neither Republican nor Democrat. I'm for the right thing. Right? One way or the other. You can't just rely on people. I don't wake up in the morning saying, oh, you know, I've lived in America 17 years. I support what this. No, I support the right thing. That's how I live my life. Even when I lived in England, same situation. One thing you guys need to do is go really study your immigration laws and fully understand it before you have these conversations. Because a lot of Americans don't understand the system when it comes to immigration.
I understand the system.
The system's broken, guys. It's broken. It's been broken since I came here. And I've not made it a secret. I've never made it a secret. I've told you guys how much money I spent with getting to just a green card holder. It's a broken system. And you guys don't have an immigration system. You have a labor issue. It's a labor
Let's not
issue.
get off the immigration system because you just spent a few minutes talking about it.
No, don't do that, Doctor.
We believe you. No, we got to go with what you just said. We believe you. Right? I have family members who have gone through the legal immigration system. It is cumbersome. It doesn't make 100% total sense. And I believe the things that you're saying. Well, we're just trying to say, instead of just now lumping all these groups of people together, we're talking about delineating between somebody like you or even somebody else. We have Ukrainians that work for us. We have Polish that work for us. It's a different situation. Going through the legal immigration process is very difficult, and it doesn't make 100% sense to me. You do have to be sponsored, and it is for 10 years. And there's a lot of other requirements that you have to go through in order to do that. What we're talking about is not you. You are a legal immigrant to this country, and it's harder to do it that way. A lot harder to do it your way, rather than hope that you get some sort of presidential decree that says you're now a citizen. It's a lot harder to go through the system. So we need to change the legal immigration system to be less cumbersome, number one. And number two, we need to not try and lump you in with the 8 million people, 8 to 12 million people that crossed the border, southern border, and overstayed their visas in the last 5 years. You're not the same people group. Please don't put yourself in that people group because you're not. That's all we're asking.
I think, but the point was, Manfredi's making it seem like everyone that comes here is bleeding the system, and that's not the case. Everyone that comes here doesn't get food stamps, doesn't get free health care. You said it's overwhelming the system. Then what did you mean?
I said we have finite resources, and there are some instances where people who come into this country illegally, and they
Define that.
What
What do you mean by finite resources?
We believe you. What you just said. We believe you.
are not
I have
infinite.
family
We
members
have
who
a
have
finite
gone
amount,
through
and
the
they should be
immigration
prioritized.
system. It
What do
is
you mean by that? Because when I hear that, I think Medicaid, I think food stamps, I think healthcare. What do you mean
We're just trying to say,
by
instead of just
finite
now
resources?
lumping all
Okay,
these
let's
groups of
just go
people
through the top
together,
5.
we're We're talking about delineating between
Emergency
somebody
rooms
like
can get overflooded with people who are here illegally. Emergency rooms, so that means doctors and resources in hospitals in your favorite city along the border or your favorite city anywhere in the country. If you have a population of illegal immigrants just popped in, some they're sick will end up in emergency rooms, taking resources away from citizens who need medical attention. Now they got to wait longer. There's got to be more BS in the emergency room. Also, schools. People are here illegally. They have children. Their children are taking up space in the classrooms that could be going to American citizens. Now they're learning in a more crowded environment, making it harder for children to learn. Another resource that is taken advantage of are some of the social benefits that you said don't happen, like food stamps, like Section 8, like these other things. There are emergency programs. I'm not saying that they're just given to them willy-nilly, but there are emergency programs that if they meet certain statuses, if they meet certain priorities and preferences, there are priorities and preferences in these various housing authorities, these food stamp, the food stamp. If you meet certain priorities and preferences, regardless of your immigration status, especially in places like Boston, especially in places like New York that are overrun with Democrat, liberal, left-leaning government leadership, okay, they want these people to be absorbed into the system and supported. And I understand what it says, that these people shouldn't be. I wasn't done talking, though. I wasn't done talking, though. Last I checked, wait a minute. Last I checked, I got a green bean. You gonna let me finish my statement? Making it harder for children to learn. Another resource that is taken. Yeah, come on now. So the thing is that I understand your point, Devon. The letter of the law may say, oh, illegal immigrants, they don't get this and they don't get that. But when you look under the hood and you see how things are actually in practice, like, for instance, voting, okay? You're not supposed to vote if you're not a citizen. But in certain places, if now that you're an illegal immigrant, you can get a driver's license. Now the system can't delineate between someone who has a license versus a citizen, and they're being allowed to vote. Just because the letter of the law, just because the letter of the law says one thing, the implementation is being done differently at the under the hood level. And I want you guys to understand that there are illegal immigrants in this country receiving federal, state, and city benefits and using it to the degree that it's taking away from American citizens who deserve it more. Thank you, Jesus.
I'd like to clarify a point with regard to your driver's license that you just mentioned. Whilst Sanctuary cities will give a driver's license, right? Those licenses are actually labeled. They're different to the license you get as an American citizen. So no, you cannot vote.
Not here in Massachusetts.
Wait, not in New York.
No.
It's no different at all, and it automatically registers you. Automatically.
Not in
sends you
California
registration
either.
number.
Anyone can vote in California. Anyone can vote in any state. Stop telling us what's true. We're going to send it to Grok and do a fact check.
We live here. We're telling you, and you're saying no. And you've got your fingers.
It's called absentee ballot. Absentee ballot, love.
Arguing with people committed to misunderstanding you, and Ricky, you look
Because
like
it's what we do.
wonderful.
This is where we live. This particular issue in New York, California, and Massachusetts is completely and 100% true. This is the way.
Bollocks, that's not true. She knows the truth. You're not listening.
Okay, it's not true. Okay, they can go to jail for voting, and that's the quickest.
It's called absentee ballot.
Sent up out of here, or even locked up. Illegal immigrants cannot vote.
There was a motion in New York State, or I think it was in New York City, that allowed them to be a part of local elections.
No,
Illegal,
not true.
I can give you
Elections, yes.
the headline.
not
So they
true.
can be in. Okay, it's not true.
So now we believe news? Or we believe
No, I'm
news
telling
now?
you.
All the news is fake news, love.
This is on the state. The state
It's
of
all
New York's
spam,
website.
including this room, except for Man Fittingly. He's telling you the truth, and you're all just spamming us with your lies.
Yeah,
I don't understand what's going on
not
here.
true.
Now stop with your spamming your lies. It's all communication is spamming. All you're doing is spamming us with your fucking lies.
I don't understand.
Shut your fucking mouth.
Sounds like you believe the propaganda.
You believe the
What's
propaganda?
What did I say that was propaganda? What did I
No,
say?
no, you, man, Fittity, you're telling us the truth. These other non-native English speakers, these non-Americans are lying and spamming us with their propaganda, wasting our fucking time.
I don't know why I can't move people to the audience.
Firstly, you don't even know if you're Scottish, Irish, Scouse, Australian, or South African. But go ahead.
I can't move anyone to the audience. I can't mute individual people. This is terrible.
Yeah, it's because it's public. Let's play fair, guys. You can't. He has no
You
control.
can mute the whole stage. You can mute the whole stage if you want to mute
I
that.
can mute the whole stage, but I can't mute the individuals and I can't move people to the audience.
Oh, what a shame, man, Fittity. Well, now I can always come back under an anonymous account and continue listening to all the spam and lies that this app generates, minute to minute.
I'm sorry. We're gonna give the microphone. We're gonna give the microphone to Monica, and if you keep interrupting, I will have to remove you from the room, and I don't want to do that to anyone. Monica, what were you saying?
The three dots top to the top right, just change the settings of the room to anyone can join the stage. You have it set to no one needs an invite. You change it.
Hand raising.
Turn hand raising on. Yeah. That'll change
Speakers
it for you.
can. No one can. Everyone. Hold on. Hand raising. Speaker. What should I put it? Everyone can. Speakers, friends can, or no one can.
Everyone can.
Everyone can. It's boring. It's just your parents talk.
Okay,
And
so now I'm
then
gonna change
you
it.
can move down without having to remove people.
Oh, this is great. I love me some Monica. Thank you, Jesus.
He's like, he figured out the goo. He figured out the goo.
I got control of the room. Y'all keep messing with me, I'm kicking you down.
I just Googled it, man, Finity. It's not true in New York. They cannot vote. They cannot register to vote. They cannot vote in New York.
They can't vote in any state, full stop, so I'm not even wasting time acknowledging that. You can't do it.
They only changed that in the last year.
I
They
can't even
literally
vote.
changed that in the last year.
Where did they change it to?
I can't even
In New
vote.
York, New York made a law that they when they said that you could vote on for the state and local elections, they meant it. They made it a law. It got changed back again last year.
Yes, they did.
Amazing.
Really? Really?
It's not. Put up a shot. Don't need the law.
So I will tell you, according to Reuters, posted, New York City law allowing non-citizens to vote has been struck down by the court. But that was the case for at least 2 or 3 years there.
No,
during
what
the
not?
administration. I'm gonna listen. I didn't make it up, man. I just read it to you.
They tried to make a law, and
No,
they
it happened.
did not allow it. It never happened. It never
But
happened.
why do you? Okay, so you think the people that wanted to do it, you think they went away? Those crazy people that want illegal non-citizens to vote are still alive and well, and they're living in your
but
government.
They never have been allowed to vote, and they never
Okay,
will.
okay.
Yes,
I
they
don't know if
were.
that's true. Let's read it.
No, they were not. They were not allowed to vote. They never.
Okay, did they trouble? Let me ask you a question. Did they trouble you that they
Show me where they were allowed to vote, and I'll shut up. Because you guys
New York City. New York City.
Not true.
Well, saying it's not true doesn't mean it's not true.
So prove that it's true. Prove it.
It's literally reading you a Reuters freaking article because it was a law.
The law
It
was
got
shut
hold on.
down.
See, you're not letting me finish my sentence. You're not letting me finish my sentence. They made it a law, and then they put it on the books, and then it got contested, and it took them 2.5 years for it to go through the Court of Appeals for them to strike it down. But for that time that it was on the books, people were allowed to vote on local and state levels.
It was never
Oh,
on.
Jesus, Jesus, bro.
It was
All
never
right,
on the
divine. All right, we're gonna keep this going for you. Wait a minute. No one else should be speaking. I want to hear how Divine responds to what Doc just said. No one else should speak.
I'm in New York. Quick Google search. It was never on the books. It never happened.
Okay, Alan would like to say something. Everyone, please be quiet. Alan?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Rachel. Please allow Alan to speak.
Hey, how are you? And
My friend Alan.
I ask right. Non-citizens are generally not allowed to vote in U.S. federal and state elections as voting in these elections, blah, 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 blah. However, some local jurisdictions in the U.S. have passed measures allowing non-citizens to vote in specific municipal elections, such as for city council, school boards, or local ballot measures. Okay, California, San Francisco, since 2016, non-citizens who are parents of or guardians of children in the school system can vote in school boards. This was reaffirmed by voters in 18 and 20. Oakland, I'll just read off the cities. Berkeley, Maryland, Tacoma Park, Hyattsville, College Park, Monterey County, Vermont, Burlington, Montpelier, and Woons, Winooski, New York. In 2021, the New York City Council passed a law allowing non-citizens with legal permanent residency or work authorization to vote in municipal elections. For instance, for mayor, city council, and local ballot measures. This would apply to approximately 300,000 non-U.S. citizens. However, the law has faced legal challenges in the state appeals court ruling unconstitutional in 2022 as of 2025. So from 21 to 22, it was allowed Washington, D.C., also allowed it in 22.
Stop for a second. Alan, what is your source? What are you reading from? Excuse me, I want to know where Alan... Excuse me. Alan, where were you reading that from?
Grok on X.
What is that?
Grok, AI. Instead of Google, I use that.
Grok? I've never heard of Grok.
Yeah,
Go
Grok
on, X.
It's the X
Okay,
version
so
of
Divine, I want no one else to respond. Divine, how do you respond to what Alan said?
Legal, he said it, legal permanent residency. You guys said illegal immigrants are voting. That's what you said.
No, I said non-citizens.
Let me read it again. However, again, the synopsis. However, some local jurisdictions in the U.S. have passed measures allowing non-citizens. Whether you have legal residency does not make you a citizen. You can.
Okay, but the part you read was under New York. You're applying.
No, and I read. Well, if you're
read the New York part again, I was listening.
Okay, all right. I'll read the New York one. Let me go. In 2021, the City Council passed a law allowing non-citizens with legal permanent residency. They're still not
permanent.
They're still not citizens. That means we're letting you stay, but you're not a citizen. The law says if you are not a citizen, you can leave at any time. You want to vote in this country, commit to this country and the Constitution, and then you can go in that ballot box. Until you make that commitment, go away, you don't get to vote.
But you take the tax that they pay, right? They can go away.
Yeah, are you getting the benefit of working in this country? Are you getting the benefit? Then pay the tax.
At its finest.
Okay, so Divine, do you concede to the point that there's
no,
an effort?
You guys
Wait a minute, let me ask the question. Don't tell me no, I didn't ask the question yet. I didn't get to ask you the question. You concede to the point that there is an effort to allow non-citizens to vote in this country.
You're changing the question. You're changing it, but yeah. You said 5 minutes ago, illegal immigrants are voting. Now you're changing it to non-citizens with legal status. Like if they're paying taxes, yes, they should be allowed to vote. If they have legal status, and they're going to get due process, allow them to vote in local elections. Why not? City council, city council, school boards, things of that nature, things that affect their day-to-day life. We say it all the time on these stages. Local elections matter. That's what really matters.
So let me ask you a question, Alan. In what you read, does that allow for? I know in New York it was the permanent legal status, but like in San Francisco, I didn't grasp what you mentioned there. Is that the same thing, or did that allow for illegal immigrants?
Okay, in San Francisco. There was non-citizens who are parents or guardians of the children in the school system can vote in school board elections. That in Oakland, they approved a measure that non-citizens, including legal residents and undocumented immigrants to vote in local elections for city council, mayor, school board, starting in 24, and in 22, Berkeley voters approved a measure to allow non-citizens to vote in municipal elections, though implementation is pending legal clarifications. So in all cases, they're saying non-citizens. Yeah, as far as they're working in this country, congratulations. You are now in a country that gives you greater opportunities. If you would like to participate fully, first of all, come here legally, because there are plenty of people who are willing to wait their turn to come here legally, and just because you can walk across the border doesn't give you the right to cut in line and take jobs from the people who want to obey the law. And second of all, again, working here, you're participating in the country, you can pay taxes, and when you fully commit to being a citizen and upholding the Constitution and obeying the laws, well, then you should get to vote. And yeah, local elections do make a difference. And if a county suddenly gets, as Biden did this, suddenly gets a wave of immigrants from pick any country, and they get to vote in local elections and school boards, well, suddenly you're going to see school boards that don't reflect the actual citizens that are in that county or local area.
Can we, all that is not conjecture.
So how many of you,
Divine,
how
can I
many
go?
Americans, hold on one second, please. I'll give it right back to you. How many of you Americans are actually standing in line for the minimal jobs that these foreigners come here and do?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Oh, no, it does.
We can talk about
it
it afterwards.
No, it does.
We're discussing the
Because
value
you
of
don't stand in line for those minimal jobs, so it does matter.
Why?
We are discussing. Relax yourself, Rachel.
Hold on, I was here. Doctor, I'm gonna
Go
ask
ahead,
you.
I'll go after you.
Yeah, so, all of this could have been alleviated, because I remember there was a bill that wanted to hire enough border agents, enough judges, and enough manpower to sort all of this out. But they chose to not vote on that bill, and they chose to give money to Ukraine, they chose to give money to Israel, they chose to do everything but deal with this crisis because they did not want Joe Biden to have the win of securing the border and having enough judges to process these cases. And now we're dealing with this conundrum of a catastrophe right now. With that, I land.
Okay, thank you. Manfin,
And after you talk,
Doctor responsible, do the honors. Please, just sweep that
Thank
under
you
the
so
rug
much.
right now. Jesus
Thank you
Christ.
so much. Divine, it might make a fantastic headline to see this bill that I would puke all over and then throw it in the garbage, to see that be repelled by Republicans. It might make a great headline, and listen, you guys have been working off of that headline for about 8 months at this point, right? And that's fine. You think it's a great bill. You think that adding more judges is going to fix the problem. You think that shortening the time of the people's stay, of the time that they have to wait before their hearing will fix something. You feel that adding more border agents for that sole purpose will fix something. I don't think that will fix anything. The only thing that will fix anything is the Remain in Mexico policy, which I've been touting like a fucking parrot on this stage for 2 fucking years. Because of our illegal immigration laws, because of our immigration laws, I should say, once a person's pinky toe, no matter what color it is, white, black, ching chong ching, purple, Asian, whatever it is, once that pinky toe touches American soil, that person is afforded a gigantic amount of rights under our asylum law, right? So they're untouchable at that point. So the only way to fix that problem is to stop them from putting the pinky toe on the soil of the United States in the first place. That is the only way to fix the problem, because we are outdone. Once the person steps over the U.S. border, there's nothing a president can do to fix this. This is now in the realm of the bureaucracy, where that person will be given the court date. That court date will be 6 months away, or if a bill that you love so much got passed, maybe it's 4.5 months away. That is not a win. And that is why the Republicans, among many reasons, maybe it was to stay loyal to Trump. Fuck if I know. Happy if they did. That is why they didn't vote for it. Because we've had 35 years of this nonsense from Republicans. No, I'm not even talking about the Democrats. I'm talking about Republicans. The Republicans that are America First stood up and said, I'm not voting for that shit because it isn't going to fix dick. Now, in your own mind, you can have fun and explain that as, they're in a cult and they're just, praising the master and they're doing blood sack, whatever you want to say about it. You can say, and I'm okay with that. I'll deal with the repercussions. Hold on a second, children.
The Maldoletas are all.
I'll tell your black ass to go to the audience. Respect yourself. Anyway, stop interrupting Raven, if you would. So anyway, that gets down to that point. We don't see it the same as you. There was no great, beautiful immigration bill. This was just another attempt, a bill written by Republicans in the first place, who were pieces of shit, brought to the House by other piece of shit Republicans and Democrats, and now you expect us to just go ahead and sign it? No.
The link sharing thing can be useful, but it's just a troll to a yoga account.
Yeah, I mean, I signed up for the anonymous ability, and I could care less. It's in fact, if I get kicked from a room, generally the mods are saving me the time. So I don't know why I would pay $5 to live stream chillism all day, but the fact that people are here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, gives you some consistency if you are looking to essentially scrape content.
Well, the feature that I think I'm surprised you don't like is the fact that you can now link to you can link to different URLs. So that's valuable to the people who are in the service industry in some capacity as entrepreneurs, or make products or something. That's worth it.
Yeah, you can promote your OnlyFans.
That too.
I keep breaking the servers on my OnlyFans.
Okay, so Edmund, how does this screw you up or help you?
It's pointless. I mean, I'm just consuming spam like you. I mean, this app is literally just spam, and it doesn't help me or hurt me. I'm wasting my time here, but I don't know. It's funny today. I was thinking, I'm like, if it was the end of the world, I'd still probably prefer to listen to random people have random conversations than turn the television on, or just there's so many alternatives to what you're listening to on a 24-hour cycle. So I don't know. I find it interesting content to live stream because YouTube, I have, 10 YouTubes going, and sometimes they pop and you get, thousands of views. But again, there's no interest as to like what app is that, or who
Yeah,
are
but
they? What are
Edmund,
they talking
if
about?
you're in a room under anonymous, if I'm understanding what Jasper told me, you can't be removed, right?
Yeah, so it throws I'm probably one of the most thrown out people in all the rooms. So if there's like a big room, I mean, that's the thing is I have 5 accounts. I would rather just spend the $15 to get a new account on a new burner phone than even sign up for the monthly. It's like I would just rather invest in a new Clubhouse account. So their model doesn't impact me as a consumer and user of their model. I would rather just create a new Clubhouse account than do any kind of subscription for these fuckers. one
So
account.
basically, there's like an anon in the room. I don't know who this is. But the person can't even put in the chat like they're testing it. So
Yeah, it's
we
just
no, that person just will live in the room.
yeah, and this is the thing.
You can't click on them. You can't do nothing. Just click on this.
No. But honestly, haven't all of the most dramatic conversations already happened? I mean, if there's a war or something, major conflict escalation, I mean, there's times where certain speakers here may have interesting insight. And as someone, it's like you got to do all the work. You got to go through the hallway, try to find, what you think is the high value content. And all this shit on this app and all these other rooms are so, I hate to say it, but, it's not even I hate to say it. I don't know. It's low value content. It's not intelligence. It's just, it's a certain demographic.
Well, I get to go spy on people with the anonymous thing.
I'm thinking this could be interesting. I'm going to try it now. All right, I'll be back.
It does force people to clean up their speech, I think, which is probably the best component of it. But it's also can it create some legal problems? I mean, to have this anonymous listener where there's no, tracing or sourcing. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think
people having anonymous listeners is gonna. I think it's gonna end the app because people are just gonna be too cautious.
Not really. There are people on here who love to throw shit to the wind or throw shit to the wall, see what sticks. I mean, because that's the I proved that the premise of anonymous is redundant because you can just create an infinite amount of very agnostic accounts where no one can identify it. And the thing is, I've listened to all of the interesting conversations or all the supposed interesting people. It's all just spam. So there's no reason to, invest in a monthly or annual subscription to this stupid platform. I mean, there's just not, because you can create a new burner for $15 and create an agnostic profile that the mods can't necessarily detect unless they cross-reference and go to my live and confirm it's me and they say, yep, that's fucking Edmund. That's the thing. It's but I'm the only loser doing it. So, what? How many people are gonna sign up for this stupid shit? A couple hundred people. Wow, moving fucking mountains with hundreds of subscribers at $5, $7 a month. Wow.
Well, wait, isn't this good for you? The fact that you could have these anonymous accounts and you can go in and no one will remove you?
No, well, that's my point. Is I would rather just spend the money on creating a new account and not attaching it to anything and play that game again. Because for me, it's a game.
All right.
It's like a game for me. So when somebody detects me and they say, that's fucking Edmund, kick him. I mean, but I'm just who they assume every time. I've conditioned people on this app in this little micro universe. And
Edmund, you made no true statement, because every troll I see, no matter what, I believe it's you. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but you're the number one suspect of everybody.
Yeah, I mean, and so that's my point. Is this isn't gonna move a mountain. This isn't gonna move a needle. Well, wow, they're making say they get 1,000 people to even sign up monthly. It's $7,000 a month. Do you know how much they spend in fucking server costs on this stupid app a day compared to seven? The model doesn't work. If they don't empower the creators here and give them a revenue share, fuck them and fuck their stupid platform and fuck their stupid business model. Make this an economy. They don't make this an economy. I mean, make this a fucking economy, a place where people can actually earn a living, and then it'll get some fucking traction. They need to turn it into Patreon or something, it's totally pointless.
We were getting traction. Somebody changed the title, which is totally fine, but we were getting traction with my title.
Hey, I'm guilty, and you're definitely right. When I changed it, I thought it might help, but it definitely hurt the room.
Oh, okay. It's fine. I was just curious.
Yeah, I just thought since we were talking about that.
No, I think that was right.
I feel no, it was actually wrong. It was a good thought, but it was the wrong move.
Edmund, the one advantage of using the anonymous option as it is like access to houses. So if someone opens rooms that are only for house members, you can go into a room anonymous if you're a house member. You can't otherwise, but it doesn't really matter for a bunch of the houses that like don't have any limitations on who can join.
Yeah, I mean, if you could just fully automate the scraping of this stupid app and then have it auto post to YouTube, that would be cool. You know, it's kind of complicated to do, but I'm sure it could be done. But it always requires manual entry of some sort, so it's just not worth it.
Club Deck wasn't, like, I haven't used it in 3 years, but Club Deck wasn't that hard to use.
Yeah, I have there's a guy on here who, you know, records rooms and posts it to a YouTube channel called How to Waste Your Time. And it's got all of the rooms, like a lot of big rooms. I mean, he has captured a lot of big rooms, but there's the thing, it's just like, you know it and I know it, that this app is just a drop of water. I mean, it's totally insignificant. It's just fucking chatter. That's all it is. It's spam.
Spam with feelings.
I mean, going into the election, like, you know, there was more value in the app, absolutely, at that point, going into the election with Kamala and Trump. Like, that was the after that, it's like, see, this app does have this like propaganda social aspect to it, but it's only like, you know, more relevant and important at like peak times. So what does that tell you? I mean, that it's all spam.
I don't know. It was more entertaining, you know, in 2020 and 2021. It was humorous when there's like late night rooms with like 6 people and Matt Gaetz in a room.
Yeah. Lex Fridman was funny on here. I was recording him, and he got furious with me that I was recording his conversations. He was messaging, "Not cool, bro. Not cool to record me without my permission, bro."
He was ultra sensitive, and like I don't know why people deified him so fucking much on this app. It was so goddamn annoying that I found him absurdly dull conversationally.
So is Pink Taco gonna make an appearance? Because I do like Pink Taco's rooms. Those are fun rooms.
This is his room.
You know, do you think it's rude, Dr. Jordan, if a woman demands that you wear a condom, but she also demands that you provide oral sex to her? Like, as a man, what's more valuable? You know, the tip of your penis or your throat?
I think it's unfair, but I don't think it's rude.
It's unfair, yeah. But all is fair in love and war. So, what do you think about Trump saying, "I'm talking to Putin and he's gone crazy," you know, and he's launching these attacks while we're talking? So, how do you view, you know,
Well, actually,
that
what I
statement?
think is funny is, I don't mean to change the subject, but I was on the treadmill today when I saw breaking news scroll across CNN that Barron Trump did not apply to Harvard, and it just the way it was taken out of context, or I took it out of context, but it was hysterical. But go ahead, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like why people think Harvard is all that great. I mean, but anyways, it's just that brand name recognition, and I guess that Rolodex, because I was thinking today, you know, even if I were to go through, I have like these alumni directories, and I was like, man, you know how I could probably raise a lot of money out of this alumni directory, for a political, a political campaign. So there is a certain aspect to having a, an Excel sheet of contacts, but that's like if you even work it. I mean, most people never even retroactively, I mean, how how do you use your networks like outside of this app? I mean, have you ever, done alumni stuff or mass communication to people?
Well, I mean, I like LinkedIn. I mean, I don't really get involved in alumni affairs. I probably should, but I don't.
Yeah, I don't use LinkedIn anymore. They deleted my account. At one point, I think I had like almost 20,000 connections on there because I was just like every day going through, going ad. And, but again, it's just like all spam, you know? That's what it comes down to. I mean, if you were to, tell us like how much communication you've had to spend on there, how much revenue you've generated from there. I mean, you'd probably be like, yeah, it hasn't been as great as I thought it would be, or maybe you have a big success story. I don't know, or you have consistent, revenue growth on there. But is that even happening for you?
LinkedIn has been helpful recently, but they're all saturated and they're all it just becomes more and more competitive. It's a rat race to kind of get your brand out there and get the visibility and get opportunities. So you know.
Yeah, LinkedIn is kind of annoying in the sense that so many people's lives are just like dedicated to, managing that LinkedIn, adding new things, new activities, new prestige, new, I mean, and then they're always forward looking to their future job prospects. If this corporation lays me off, I can now represent myself as an information, advertising technology lawyer who's worked at Yahoo, worked at Google, like, then you got to find the new corporation, the new job, start working on all their work. I mean, maybe bring new business, basically. So everybody ends up becoming a business consultant, um, or a chief revenue officer to a certain extent. It's like fundraising, basically. So I don't know. There are some people who are very personable, and if you happen to go to their event and you're worth a couple $100 million, you might become a donor.
Well, you're right at LinkedIn. It's they've come up with every kind of way for people to funnel clients, but everybody's doing the same thing, and they're these newsletter things. Everybody's got people signed up on their newsletter. I mean, there's no way that people have the amount of time to read other people's newsletters and create their own, and like it's just too much information. It's voluminous, in my opinion. And then you've got groups. You've got private and like Facebook. You've got private and public groups, and you've got this. I mean, it's a lot.
I agree. It's just information overload. I'm using X a lot, and I've been asking Grok a lot of questions, and that has been an interesting form of content generation.
How's the Adrian Dittman stuff going?
I've rebranded everything Republican, because I figure that's like a brand that's never going away, and so to have like a bunch of Republican digital assets is, basically a political consulting and spamming business. But the Adrian Dittman stuff, he does still hold. He holds private rooms for subscribers only on X, and then he's also doing like sometimes a Saturday room. But
well, wait a second. You just told me you weren't going to pay for this app.
this new thing.
Not here. I'm saying on X. If you
No,
want,
but you're not pay. You told me you weren't going to pay for this on Clubhouse.
I did. Yeah, I just signed up for it to test it,
Oh,
and then I
okay.
canceled the
Oh, I see.
subscription. Yeah,
I see.
yeah. It's stupid. I mean, I've had a lot of fun with this app and bouncing around, but I have they took down one of my YouTube accounts recently, which had thousands and thousands of Clown House recordings. But I don't know. I have approaching 20,000 videos on YouTube, 15,000 videos on Instagram. It'd be so nice if YouTube had a way to.
What about how often you record on Twitter?
I've been recording a lot of anti-Semitic, racist, low IQ pieces of shit on there in a room called JQ Radio, which is Jewish Question Radio. And all they do is talk about Adolf Hitler, his speeches, the Jews, everything and anything. And they have weird guests come in. I don't know if you know Brother Nathaniel. He's this like Russian Orthodox. He's Jewish, and he's from Brooklyn, and he's a self-hating Jew. He hates Jews, and he's a self-professed. He's insane. But the point is, these are little like hotspots of hate and extreme hate and racism and you know toxic communication. Total waste of time. But I like to go in there, ring my bell, and just remind them how they're all wasting their time and just spamming each other. So, doing that type of social audio activism, I feel like is fun because people recognize it and they go, "Fuck, he's right. I'm wasting my time here. Fuck." People start questioning what they're doing in these rooms and why they're listening or talking or posting shit in the chat. I mean, so I don't know. It's just fun to like troll people who have really bad ideas and takes, and I don't know. I think they're like living in their own little universe of misery. Again, essentially, misery loves company. That's what happens in a lot of these toxic communication rooms.
Why don't you educate people? Why don't you?
I do on YouTube. I have millions of views of people that have listened to me reading books on YouTube. I create shorts, 1 minute, 3 minute clips of me reading books, and that's my educational contribution.
You should post that on Clubhouse.
It's all just algorithm, No, nobody here is ever gonna see it. I mean, you could go to my YouTube and actually look at my YouTube and listen to me reading a variety of wisdom-based books.
What are the? Don't take this wrong. What are some of the titles?
Of the books?
Yes.
Look at my PTR, A Treasury of Polish Aphorisms. I'm not being facetious or actually joking. I mean, this book is really pretty amazing. And I was reading it to El Normo yesterday, and I told him that it was Jewish aphorisms. You can't tell the difference. They're just aphorisms. I don't know. They're Polish, but because they come from Polish translations, but the aphorisms. I have a couple books on aphorisms, and a lot of these things are like universal knowledge, basically.
You would get following if you would on Clubhouse. Not that you needed it. If you'd read a book like Black Rage or White Rage, racist shit. Oh, sorry, racist book.
Yeah, I don't know. This racist communication industry is. I saw this one African American lady give like a 4 hour seminar on structural racism and white guilt, and it was just. And I don't have the video anymore. It was like a Google talk or whatever, But basically, it's just the communication industry. I mean, all this DEI stuff and all these education scams are it's like it's toxic communication, and it's just it's political and it's business and it's sick, but it's what people do, because communication is like a commodity, and I talked to my mom today. She's like, I've heard everything, I've seen everything. So people do feel like they have, not seen anything new. And I think DEI and critical race theory and all this communication industry and the educational industrial complex is spam. And it's, you can witness it here on this app, and it's just racist, toxic communication. And
yeah, but the academics eat that crap up.
well, I heard these people talking about white guilt. Well, not people, but it was Bill Maher and Tim Pool talking about the reason why, like, North Chicago voted for Brandon Johnson is because the Loyola North Shore snobs of Chicago experienced white guilt. I'm thinking, like, I don't even know if that's true. I mean, it's just another it's like another reframe. It's like talking about, you know, trans and genders or even gay. I mean, everything is political. So all communication is spam, and it's almost all political. There's very little actual wisdom ever communicated on this app. It's like, 0.001%. So
At least you moved away from hypnosis. That was a healthy move.
yeah, but when I say hypnosis, it's more of like saying it's just propaganda. That's all I'm really saying. All communication is propaganda. It's all political. It's all spam. It's all hypnosis. I mean, but it's not hypnosis. Hypnosis is, it's something in a neurolinguistic programming book I read, that the Society of NLP declared in 1985 that all communication is hypnosis. And what that means is the brain doesn't reject whatever it's listening to, and it's sitting there storing it, processing it. So in a way, it's like essentially giving you a program. So that's why if you read a book, it's basically a program, and you actually have to read it, and that's why an app like this is like propaganda real time. I mean, imagine if Joseph Goebbels had Clown House and all of Germany came on the cell phone at the same time to listen to his messaging. Well, they did. It was called the radio. But there was no feedback. The audience can't talk back. The audience can't troll. The audience can't come in and just ring a bell. I mean, it's all push information. So it's group versus crowd, communication.
In the game is being played, and he wants to find her before she learns how to read. But it's a compliment for her, even though she never got the opportunity to really see what she deserves in life. A lot of times, those women get with a man where if she grew to her full potential, she would have never accepted him. He would be a man where he, like, whatever he became, she actually would have been like, nah, he's my type. So it's almost like predatorial. So even though you say it's a compliment for a woman to get married as young as possible, to dedicate her life towards a family, if that were universally true, then how come the man is 40?
Hello?
Well, okay, so you said, okay. What I'm saying is, it looks like, I'm just looking, again, as an observer, looking at that dynamic, I don't see it negative. Because, again, we're talking about.
So would you like to end your, are you finished up? Mike,
No,
I think Jarl was, is it Jarl or is it Jarl? I'm sorry, Jarl.
Technically it's Jarl, but whichever, yeah.
You see, even the name Jarl Jarl is a little bit of a pansy name, I must say. But Mike Moon would like to finish his input.
For the benefit of Doctor, I want to say that I'm pleasantly surprised by things Trump's doing in his second administration. I see him as an agent of change, a change that was necessary to the status quo of the United States of America. Whether or not you like him personally, we have been doing much of the same thing for a very long time, and increasingly so, countries, especially European countries, decide somehow that they're our fucking equals, and they're not our fucking equals. We've always been their fucking daddy. We've always taken care of them. We've always been the fucking leader. We still are the fucking leader. And when we hear that America's somehow losing favor, it doesn't matter if America's not losing power. If they're losing favor, if people are going to whine more about us than they used to, they're still going to rely on us when shit hits the fan. They always have. They always fucking will, at least for the near future. And the reality is we haven't gotten weaker by standing our fucking ground, turning inward, and paying more attention to ourselves for a little bit. And there's a lot of things Trump's doing that make a lot of fucking sense to me. Taking money away from Harvard and putting it in the fucking trade school sounds like a great idea, okay? Tariffs on the movie industry to start freaking coming back to the United States, making their movies here. I live in Atlanta, right? We built giant studios for Marvel to film their shit, and then they ran off to fucking England as soon as they got 5% more royalties or paid over there, or discounts. So the reality is this: get them the fuck back, or they can go pay twice as much to go overseas. It's the same with Canada, by the way. Canada's 35%. Fuck them. So there's a lot of shit he's doing to basically say, listen, let's reevaluate and figure out what the fuck to do in America. He's doing things, okay? Now, whether or not these things pan out, whether or not these things end up being good or bad for America, a lot of this shit, I'm almost done.
Congress, let this American citizen speak, you fucking dirt napper. Go ahead.
A lot of this shit that's going on is new.
Congress, you can go. Congress, I will allow you to go, but you just have to wait your turn. You can't jump the line. You can't cross the border that way. Please allow Mike Moon finish.
I apologize, please.
There's a lot of shit. I'll wrap it up here. There's a lot of shit he's doing that it remains to be seen how it's going to pan out. We don't know. But the fact that something's being done to look at these things from a new perspective is very important to me, that it gets done. And if he's an agent of change to start the process, and now we think a little more about things in ways we haven't considered before, I'm totally good with that. Whether we end up with another Republican or Democrat in the White House doesn't really make a difference to me. I just want something that will continue focusing on America. And it appears that he kind of knows what he's doing this time around a hell of a lot more than he knew the first time. The first time he's a little bit like fucking, what do you call? I don't know. He was out of his league. He didn't know what the fuck to do. But the first time, the second time, he kind of got it figured out, and he's doing some shit now, and he's being very deliberate about it, and he's being strong. And if people don't like that strength, or they say they don't like it, in the end, when shit hits the fan, they want it. So fuck the rest of the countries that have a problem with it. Let's kick ass. Go America.
All right. Jarl, Congress, you're up next, but I want to give second for Jarl, or I think it should be Jarl, but
wait,
since you want to be fancy, we'll say Jarl.
Can I say 10 seconds? Can I say 10 seconds?
Sure.
Bro, I will just say this. Mike has been very anti-Trump, as he would tell you, for 5 years at this point. At least
I don't remember that. I don't remember Mike Moon.
He's a guy who puts his heart on his sleeve. He believes, and then he goes and puts it out there. And he didn't even say anything that Trump is good or Trump is great or anything like that. But just him giving a chance to let the guy do his thing, and then we can judge him on the basis of the results. I mean, this is like breaking my heart right now in a good way, and I appreciate it.
It's called having a wait and see attitude rather than the left, who has an I already know attitude, arrogant, and that's the difference.
Yeah, I don't know what I don't know, and I'm open-minded. That's what it is.
Absolutely. So Jarl, if you'd like to respond, or Jarl, if you'd like to respond, very quickly, we'd like Congress to voice his concerns.
Sure, I'll be super brief. So obviously I disagree with Canadians being pansies, but you guys are allowed your opinions. Just really quickly, the Hollywood thing I think is interesting, because Hollywood to me is like the industry that America, like movies specifically, that America like dominates. There's not a single country that comes close to making entertainment like America. So it's just like crazy to me. I don't see how terrifying like American movies made in other countries is going to help, right? iPhone or Apple Apple was the largest company in the world without making their phones in America. And I think that, like, I just don't see why bringing back production is going to help America. That's not like what America's strong at. America's good at innovation and technology, not manufacturing. But anyways,
thank you, Congress.
I can say really quick, it's going to bring back jobs. I'm in the industry, and the jobs have been decimated here from all this shit. So it's going to bring back jobs in that case.
Yeah, before we go back to Congress. Yeah, before we go back to Congress, Jarl, it's going to bring back. I understand you can do two things at once. You can innovate while at the same time employing your people to the point where we're not living in parts of the country were devastated when industries left. So you've got to have a balance, and I understand that you think that innovation is the only way, but it's not the only way. It's a both and approach. But let's move to Congress. Congress, you'd like to provide. I'm sorry. Please wait your turn. We have Congress up next, and then Alan, and then maybe Cry Rachel, and then Abby. Congress, what would you like to say?
So, all right, thank you much, of course. Being called names here, that's absolutely right. But then when we talk about President Trump coming into the picture, when we look at his history and what he's done, see, US, of course, is a state which will poke nose into situations when they're not having anything to do with. I mean, these guys come into the picture when they talk about India and Pakistan. And then they say that, no, India did the right thing. Yet, they, your premier is okay signing a deal with Pakistan, with a lot of other countries when they so, just to give you an idea, trade policies. Trump's, when we look at him, bigger picture.
I'm sorry, I'm going to let you finish, but you have to. I want you to be clear. What is your input? What point are you trying to establish? Because I'm getting lost in what you're saying.
See,
what is your main point, and then I need you to try to establish it. What are you trying to get across?
U.S. has seen better leaders who've actually helped the entire global hemisphere. But then when we talk about Trump, someone who is a menace in his own life, it's weird. And
so your point is that Trump is not a good leader?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, and what's your strongest example of Trump not being a good leader? Something that he's done in the last 100 days or so.
Him saying that India is a very good friend, blah blah blah, and the recent attack in Pahalgam, what happened?
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time understanding you. What did he say that I'm having a hard time understanding your English. So tell me, what did he do that makes him such a bad leader? One more time.
Simply put through, him funding Pakistan, him funding Turkey, and India being very vocal about the fact that we've had these situations, and we're sharing that Turkey is involved, Pakistan is involved, and yet US signing a deal with Turkey for
Okay. But this is an example of his poor leadership to you. Can anyone translate to me what's happening? What did he do in Turkey or in Pakistan that makes him such a... I don't know. Alan, wait a minute. I'm appointing Alan to translate what Congress is saying in very short, brief terms. Please, Alan.
Yeah. I mean, I understand what he's saying, and I actually, on this point, I agree. I don't like Trump's position when it comes to his support of Turkey, and I understand if he's making, I didn't know this, if he's making deals with Pakistan, no, I don't like that either. And that's one of the things I had to consider when I was voting. So, yeah, I mean, Turkey has been instrumental in, though it doesn't get any press, it's been instrumental in a lot of the unbalance and problems in the Middle East, and Trump is supporting them. So I think that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, we
Okay, it looks like Congress
real
appreciates your.
I'm sorry, Don heads. We should be supporting the Don heads. The Indian people are a great market. They're a great people who love our country. And Trump tried to do this in his first term. He tried to really make deals with India, and we should continue on that path. The Pakistanis.
Congress seems to
we should
be
go
saying
with the Don heads in India.
Yeah, Congress seems to be saying that he's upset with Trump's leadership as it relates to him poking his nose into other foreign affairs, namely support of Turkey and support of Pakistan. Thank you for your input. Let's move on to Alan. Alan wanted to say something, and then I want to see what Cry Race
I just wanted to echo.
I'm sorry, Congress wants to finish. Congress, can you please complete your input? I may have cut you off. Really quickly, just finish your statement, Congress.
Yeah, absolutely. See, very well put through. You're not able to understand what I'm saying here, and obviously your language, my language, we're different. But then everyone else is able to understand what I'm saying. So you're a racist piece of.
Shit.
I know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll be a racist piece of shit. I just didn't understand what you were saying. Honestly, it was sincere. But I appreciated Alan explaining it to me. Just because we don't understand each other all the time, I still want to understand and see what you're trying to say. There was nothing underhanded in what I did there. But anyways, Alan would like to say something. Alan has an input.
Yeah,
we're moving to Cry Racial and then Abby. Alan, go ahead.
Yeah, I just say quickly, Mike is right, and talking about the tariffs on Hollywood. We have seen in the entertainment industry in California, jobs were going away since, the late 80s. And there's been a steady movement from that. And I can't tell you the number of TV shows. You look at the end credits. It says filmed in Canada. So they might hire some American actors, but everything below the line, the directors, the assistants, the sound people, the sound houses, the special effects, all of those have to be done by Canadians. And it's a problem. We've lost a lot of work in Hollywood because of it. So yeah, Trump saying that, I don't know if it'll work, but yeah, I'm for it.
And Alan, you know what else? You know what else I came to the conclusion of, which is that all of those reasons that they go elsewhere in order to film for like different aesthetics, basically, it's the reason we don't have large backlots anymore. It's the reason we don't have the construction people anymore to build these giant sets and things. We're doing less and less sets because we're bouncing around the world and saving money at the same time. If we can't save money by bouncing around the world, then we'll start building more sets and backlots back in the United States again, both in Georgia and California, potentially even places like Texas. And then we'll start having all of that below the line labor hired again. I can tell you right now that about 80% of the people that I know below the line in IATSE are struggling to find jobs right now. Georgia has about 2/3 less projects than they had 2 or 3 years ago. And even though we invested all that money into there, even Marvel, the last shit they filmed, they went to fucking England for it because England offers 35% and Georgia offers 20 or 25%.
Yeah, and let me explain what that means. That means if they spend $10 million, or if the budget is $10 million, and a country like Canada or someplace else is giving incentives, they will get $3.5 million back from I don't know what the correct term is, the federal Canadian government, and then the provinces have their own incentives as well. So it can be something like almost, 45% of a budget that a production company gets back. Now, if you're filming and you're going to say, well, instead of it costing me $10 million, it's only going to cost me $5 million, they can't resist that, and American companies can't compete with those kind of incentives.
Okay. Thank you, Jesus. We're gonna move on. I wasn't calling Alan Jesus. I was just saying thank you, Jesus. All right, Cry Racial. You've been waiting patiently. I want to see what you have to say. Before I ask you to speak, Mike Moon, how did you get your hair and your beard to do that? Is that a real picture of a man?
That's a real picture of a man from actually 1918, and there was a brief period in the United States when that was a popular haircut.
What the fuck?
What do they call that?
I don't know what it was called, but it's in the pre-1920s, and there was actually multiple people that used to do their hair that way.
We don't really.
Does it have anything to do with the moon? I'm gonna look it up. All right, thank you. Cry Racial, what would you like to contribute to the conversation?
So how did he win? He didn't win shit. What are you talking about?
Who? How did who win?
Your lover Trump.
I don't have a lover named Trump, but Trump won on a number of Trump has won. First off, Trump won on November 5th when he wiped. Excuse me, ma'am. Trump won on November 5th when he wiped the floor with one Kamala Harris.
He a radical.
Oh, that's why he your president today, ma'am. Okay, so we're gonna talk about that. He won on election day, and he won on a number of issues since then. So we can first talk about the election. That's how he won. And did you want to dispute that?
He didn't win shit.
So why is he your president today?
When men clean up after I forget who
I'm sorry, Rachel. Why is he your president then? Thank you. All right, we'll move on. Moving on to Abby. Abby, how would you like to contribute to the conversation?
Two things. First, to what Alan and
Hey,
Mike were
Abby.
saying. Hey, guys. And I've talked to them about it before. My daughter's a filmmaker, too. And with respect to Hollywood, we're building in Nevada a huge studio right now and picking up. We just created tax incentives, state tax incentives. Her last films, one was filmed in Italy, one in South Africa. And the price for production was so substantially less. Also, she has a project in New Mexico and in Georgia. These are states that they're building facilities, or they have facilities. So I agree with these guys, and that's what's happened to the industry. What I think is, I'm also in a state where 1 in 5 people are taxed or tipped employees. 1 in 5 are tipped, and the no tax on tip that was his plan, which now has gone through Congress. Hopefully, will clear through both chambers of Congress and get signed. Is incredible incentive where I am, and a game changer for our economy, for people to have that extra income and not have to tax on their tipped wages. So that's a big issue where I am, and I want to say that's a win-win for him.
Thank you. I want to go around the room, starting with Anthony. I would like for you to name, since Trump has been in office, his biggest win and his biggest loss. Starting with Anthony, what would you put out there for Trump's biggest win as president since January 20th and his biggest loss in your perspective? Anthony?
Let's see. Trump's biggest win since he's entered office, I think that, honestly, I think that
I'm so Tom.
that's what it.
No, he got it.
Yo, Racial, really? That's what we're going to do? Like, why did you do that, man?
Respect yourself, Racial.
What did she
It's really sad. Nah, she called me Uncle Tom. Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Anyway, exactly. You know, I just came in the room, and here she comes, coming at me.
Oh, yeah, Uncle Tom.
All she knows how to do is cry.
Yeah, so, I'm not a fan of the bill, so I don't want to say that, this bill is his biggest accomplishment. What he's been doing in terms of, in terms of the illegal immigrants, I think, and if I had to point to one thing, it's the border crossings. The attempted border crossings are like all-time lows. So I'd say that was his biggest win. Biggest loss is the situation in Ukraine. I genuinely believed that he would have had this thing squared away.
Okay.
And
That's
it's
very
not.
good.
Can I give mine too?
Hold on, we're coming around. We're coming around the mountain. Thank you, Anthony. I think that's a very fair and good assessment. I'll go next to Abby. Abby, what would you say for his biggest win and biggest loss at this point?
So biggest win, I might also echo what he said with respect to the border and the amount of crossings on the border, and also what's personal to me is seizing the problem with anti-Semitism and going at these colleges and really trying to get them to control it. And he's just taken the bull by the horns in an incredible way and with
So
a
you're
lot of
coupling that with the biggest win with the border. You're coupling the border with his fight against anti-Semitism.
For me personally, I would put anti-Semitism first because it affects my life directly.
I see.
So I'm going to put that as a win. The biggest loss, it's an interesting one. It's probably also in some of the foreign policy. I don't think it's all gelled yet. I don't know if I'd say it's a loss, but I think on Ukraine, that's probably within the foreign policy something that's just got to get harnessed more. And
other than what he mentioned, Anthony mentioned on the Ukraine, he thought he'd have it handled by now. Is there another thing on the foreign policy front that you can point to other than
I think he's handling the Middle East well, with strength and with conviction. So I'm comfortable with that. I got to circle back around on the loss with me because there's probably some other things that are concerning.
Okay, Congress, a vocal Trump. I don't want to call you a hater, but you oppose Trump. What would you say is his biggest win and his biggest loss through his presidency, Congress?
Biggest win, sir, there's none.
I'm sorry?
There is none.
There is none. Okay. And what is his biggest loss in your eyes?
So, come to think of it, and practically, and I know you would time me and you give me one opportunity, of course. See, at the end of it all, when we talk about America is not built around just Americans. I mean, it's a country.
I'm sorry, you're rambling again. I need you to be clear. What is the biggest loss?
His
loss. I
loss.
need you to just be very succinct.
The fact that he is helping, terrorists, paying them, and helping them with technology.
Okay, so you're echoing what you mentioned the first time about Turkey and Pakistan. Okay, but wait a minute. When Abby and Anthony say that he's helped through his policies, his strength on the border, bringing illegal border crossings down over 90%, why don't you view that as a win? Before I move on to the next person, I need you to answer that quickly, please.
So real quick, for them, for a country, yes. When we look at US, of course, it's veto power through and through. But then what US and what Trump is doing is playing a dual policy. He's a freaking piece of shit who has to make sure that the war happens.
I asked you a question. Why don't you view the border crossing reduction as a win?
I just answered it, sir. If he's helping Turkey, if he's helping Pakistan, and still saying that no, I'm with India and Modi is.
Sorry, I can't follow you. I said, why don't you think it's a win that the border crossings have gone down? Why is that not a win to you? Yes or no? Or not yes or no, but tell me quickly why.
Am I living in States?
Okay, thank you. All right, so you're saying because you're not in America, that's not a win to you. Okay. Moving on to Mike Moon. What would you like to say Trump's biggest win is and his biggest loss?
First, I like this question a lot. I like this question a lot because it really challenges me to think about it.
Congress, your turn is over, Congress. I need to move on.
Hang on a second, sir. So, simply put through, you're living in a particular country, and so am I. Right? Okay. What's happening with your country is a different thing altogether.
I got it. So Congress, so you should listen more and have less opinions about the United States because you're clearly saying that you can't have those opinions because you're not here. So let's just listen now, okay? You listen.
Thank you, Congress. Now we're moving on to Mike. Moving on to Mike Moon to tell me.
I like the question. It really challenged me to think. The biggest wins are DEI attack on.
Big win. Give me one big win and one big loss.
One big win attack on DEI.
I'm sorry, Congress. If you can't control yourself, I'm going to move you to the audience. Please go on mute. Go on mute, Congress. Congress, go on mute. Going once, going twice, going 3 times, moving to the audience. All right, go ahead, Mike.
The attack on DEI across the board, transgender issues, big business, DEI programs and departments, the laying off of DEI positions in general. I think DEI has been a tremendous win for him. I am not going to say the border has been a big win, and the reason why is that I'm not clear we even know the truth about the border. I think that there was a lot of deportations done before he was president as well, and I'm not convinced that we even fully know.
What about the border crossing?
Yeah, the border crossing is just because people are afraid of him. But that's not really any policy thing. That's just him being president already defaults by having way less border crossings. It was the same way in his first term.
So you don't give him the credit for that?
Yeah, I don't give him the credit for it because I think it's a nice I think it's a bonus that we get in having him a president. I don't think it has anything to do with his policy really. It has to do with more of what he says about the policy about them in general. They're afraid of him. The biggest loss, hands down, no question about it, is his support of Putin and the Ukraine. He just said the other day, I thought I really knew Putin, but what's he doing? I'm like, wake up, motherfucker. We all know he's a fucking scumbag. So if he starts coming to that opinion finally, he might know the real Putin. He is a scumbag. So the idea that he supported Putin and that Putin is now showing his true colors and that Trump is somehow surprised by that, and the fact that Trump said he would solve Ukraine in a day, and right now it's his biggest failure, hands down. I think he's doing a horrible job by siding with Putin and bashing Ukraine all the time. That said, I don't think we should give any more money to Ukraine.
Okay, thank you. I'll come back to that. Jarl, biggest win, biggest loss for Trump?
Yeah, I'm being generous calling it a win, but I think the fact that the rest of the world is building up their military could be an indirect win for Trump or for America or for the world. And I don't know, there's so many losses, I can't pick one. I think Ukraine is definitely, yeah.
Okay, Ukraine. Alan?
Well, people have echoed a lot of what I think are wins and losses, so I'll just say, yeah, I agree. His biggest loss is probably Ukraine and Russia in that he didn't solve it as quickly as he wanted. And his biggest win is Ukraine in that if we're not sending money to Ukraine the way we did, then I'm okay with that. Let Ukraine and Russia work it out, and let Europe work it out, and they can solve their own problems. So, there.
Thank you. Dr. Responsible. Dr. Responsible going once. Dr. Responsible going twice. Welcome back. Cry Racial. Can you tell me what you believe Trump's biggest win and his biggest losses so far?
His biggest win was seeing that he could relate to black men because that mugshot scene. Yeah, he has a black experience. Yeah.
That's his biggest win?
Yeah, he said he's a criminal like y'all.
Okay, and what's his biggest loss so far?
Having sex with a porn star, yeah. That's the biggest.
Okay. You are exposing your Trump derangement on full display. And we're moving on to Bill, I don't even know how to say your last Asian name. But Bill, are you within the sound of my voice?
I am here. Yeah, I would agree with Anthony and Abby. That was absolutely immigration is his biggest win. And the loss so far, I think, has been about great because he has been like a yo-yo up and down. He's been inconsistent on his messaging.
Inconsistent on what front is he inconsistent?
The tariffs. So all good about bringing manufacturing back to the States. Absolutely correct. But just the gamesmanship on trade and tariffs has been inconsistent and it's caused a lot of chaos especially not even for big businesses, but for small businesses, which we all know employ most Americans in this country. So that's my input. Thanks.
And can I say one thing about that too?
Yeah.
The tariffs. So I did the research, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure I'm not wrong because I did do the research. Not many people can answer this question. The question is, what were the tariffs on China and U.S.? How did they compare to one another before? Like for the last basically, I don't know, 15 years? And what are they now today, as of now, in this 90-day period initially? And I looked it up, and it's pretty shocking. And so it sounds like he's going all over with tariffs, and he is, by saying, 130, 145%. But what he did is he successfully scared the Chinese, right? And when he went back and settled with them for this 90-day period initially, and it might extend, hopefully it will, the before and after numbers, I wish that people talked about them, because I don't hear anybody talking about them, but it's a win. Before, it was 2019. We were getting 19%, they were getting 20%. Now, it's 10-30. We're getting 30%, they're getting 10%. So he literally flipped it around and cut ours in half and cut theirs by 2/3 and made us the leader in the equation. And those numbers, I'm not hearing anybody talk about it. They talk about the flip-flop, but that's his MO. He goes out there and he says something bombastic, huge, to freaking stir the pot, make it real extreme, and then he's hoping that they're going to back down and get scared, which China apparently did. And I think that's a win too, by the way. But I just want to say the numbers themselves, it's fair. He should be getting more credit for that. Thanks.
Any reaction from anyone? What he just said?
That's it's good to know those numbers. I didn't know that. Thank you. Also, it's nice to hear you laugh. You have a good laugh.
There you go. Well, Alan, if you didn't know, now you know. Thanks for Mike Moore. Moving on to the new voice on stage, Paul. Paul, are you approaching us with the right or the left? Paul, going once. The right. You're approaching us with the right. Can you explain what you believe his biggest win is since he's been in office, and what you perceive to be his biggest loss? Wesley, are you within the sound of my voice?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Thank you, sir. Are you approaching us today from the right or the left of the political spectrum? Are you approaching us today from the
I'm definitely right. I've been a Trump fan since, when he was running against Hillary, when the MAGA hat were getting beat up.
So,
when
can you
everybody
explain
said,
to us, what you think his best move has been since being in office, and his worst move since being in office?
I'd say best move is I've never seen anything like it when he signed all those executive actions on live television, like day one. That was the best thing. That's how you make change happen. Worst. Well, I mean, nothing really comes to mind right off the top of my brain. Maybe I can get back to you. Let me rack my brain.
I need your critical thinking.
I suppose his dependence or his aversion to calling out Israeli influence in American politics.
That's a meaty issue that we can get to, especially with some of the people we have on stage. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'd like for you guys, maybe once we get through this round robin, maybe Abby and Wesley can engage on that a little bit. But moving on, thank you for your info, Wesley. Moving on to comedian. I want to get the last name if I can find it. Comedian comedy. Can you share with us, first off, if you're approaching us from the right or the left of the political spectrum, Mr. Comedian?
I would say I'm probably approaching the from the center right.
Thank you. So this should be quite easy for you. You call balls and strikes. What can you name as his best move or win or worst move. I mean, and worst move and loss. I'd like
his best moves and his worst moves.
Yeah, just one of each. I don't need more than one of each.
I'd say his best move is not being hyper reactionary, meaning that there's so much communication every day generated by the media and him also, but his response has been, I think, great, meaning he hasn't been vitriolic. He has. I like this. I like the inauguration. I don't know about you, but I was.
You're saying in comparison to his first presidency, his response
Yes,
to
100%. Yeah.
the media framing of things has been a lot more measured.
Oh yeah, he spent way too much time combating the media daily. Insulting journalists, getting his feathers ruffled. Now he really seems, in my opinion, to be in his element, in his historic, frame and control. So I would say I'm just, really pleased with his demeanor as an American, and a voter. Very professional, very businesslike, very pragmatic, and he's not spamming us. He's.
So what about the other day, just to push back a little bit, the other day when he had the South African government in his Oval Office, he referred to, cannot remember his name, the NBC reporter as an idiot and a jerk. Called him an idiot twice and called him a jerk once. I'm just curious, how do you when you know that happened, how do you integrate that into what you just said about it?
Yeah, I mean, the South Africans are doing drill music on their people. They're doing the same type of propaganda.
No, he wasn't talking to South Africa when he said that. He called an American, I remember his name now, Peter Alexander, an NBC reporter, Oval Office White House correspondent. He referred to a White House correspondent in the Oval Office with all the cameras rolling, a jerk, an idiot, and then an idiot again.
Good.
I'm asking, how do you integrate that in your framing that he's a lot more measured in his response with the media?
That's great. Let him be authentic and say what he feels and feels what he says. That's why we voted for him. And if he thinks that journalist
isn't, you don't want that brand of him to be out there.
Listen, I'm just saying that it's night and day compared to the first time around. I mean, he's controlling. Yeah, he's controlling the communication now, which is a great thing.
Gotcha. So you're saying you're fine with him doing it. It just needs to be a lot less than it was in the first time.
Meaning he wasted so much of his energy communicating with the media. He needs to just give us the entree, and we don't need to read the menu anymore. We want the entree. We're ready for the filet mignon. I mean, give us Trump steaks is what I'm saying.
Got it. All right, so that's his best move. More measured approach. What is his worst move? What's his biggest loss? Comedian going on.
Yeah.
I really want to hear.
I don't know. His biggest loss, I think, is probably not enacting the Doge cuts or fully supporting thrift and frugality and making that a major communication message to the American people. Because all these taxpayers, if you're driving an Uber and you're only making $45,000 a year and you're paying taxes on that, and you see how this money gets spent and this woke spending through the Doge exposure, you have to be pissed off. Because that we've been sold down a river. The devaluation of the dollar, the $40 trillion debt, the $100 billion a month in interest payments, and you see what they're spending the money on, and there's so much coming out with Doge with regards to even government money printing computers. I mean, these things sound ridiculous, but they're not. We know that they're wasting money and shipping it overseas for all types of waste, fraud, and abuse. So, as a taxpayer, as an American, I mean, this has to be the uniting issue, that this uniparty Democrat-Republican bullshit, the spending and what they're spending it on is so egregious and so stupid, we should all be sick to our stomach that no senator, no congressman even exposed any of this shit prior to Elon Musk having the ability to actually technically even go in and do this type of auditing. So I'm complete.
Whoa. Comedian was still finishing his input, and then we can move on. He's almost there. Comedian, I know you're rounding the. I need you to land.
Yeah, I'm just saying that the X platform.
So his biggest win is his new and improved demeanor, and his biggest loss is the fact that he's not fully embracing a uniting issue, which is this being more thrift thrifty in government spending. Is that
Yeah,
your
meaning
input?
meaning that we're borrowing all this money when we should be cutting spending, lowering taxes, raising tariffs, and really just doing pragmatic things, eliminating government. It's the government
But
is
what do you
huge.
say to people who say that cutting spending removes vital services for people who depend on it to survive?
Listen, I'm on the treadmill next to a doctor. He's talking about how to scam Medicaid Advantage. So these doctors aren't doctors. They don't provide medical services. Maybe a therapist is what a lot of people need, but I'm talking physical therapy. Going to the gym, reading books, eating right. Stop getting vaccinated with 2 vaccines and triple boosters, and eating Pfizer for dinner. I mean, we all know that the COVID-19 and the vaccine.
Pfizer for dinner. All right, I want to stop there. I want to stop there and get some more voices involved. But I do want to just say, excuse me.
Can I give my worst? I didn't do that.
That's crazy. You want to do what?
I gave you my best. I didn't give you my worst. Can I give you the loss? Or what I did?
Yeah, give me your quick, before you give me your quick loss. I just want to say, is there anyone who's been, before Abby gives us her loss, was there anyone, I wish I had reached for a pen to write these things down, because I'd like to review them after. Has anyone been keeping note? I'm just curious. Yeah. Anyone? Can I do my thing? Before you go, baby, before you go, we want you to go. I'm just curious. Has anyone been writing down what they've been hearing so far? Yes or no?
Please, I'm not your secretary.
All right, cool. Thank you, Crowd Ratio. All right, nobody's done that, but I'm gonna.
Yeah, I didn't know there would be a test later.
Yeah, I like what I'm hearing so far, especially some of the things that comedians said. But anyways, Abby, before 80s Baby goes, because 80s Baby is dying to go, I'd like for Abby to finish her submission by providing to us.
Yeah.
By providing to us what she's saying is Trump's biggest loss since he's taken office.
So I was thinking about this. I told you I needed a minute to put it together. So from a legal perspective, I don't like the fight on the birthright citizenship. I think it's a losing battle with the Supreme Court. I think constitutionally it's not a strong case, and I really wish he wouldn't put a lot of his emphasis on it. It's different than the immigration issues that he's dealing with in closing the border and deporting criminals. But I think that the birthright one probably loses in the high court with SCOTUS, and I just think it's probably not a good use of the energy. That's my loss.
I do want to push back a little bit on that. So why wouldn't you want to try to close a loophole where right now the status quo is that people are coming here with their status being questionable or illegal, and they marry a citizen or whatever they're doing? Why not try to force the courts or force the Supreme Court to clarify what they mean? What does birthright citizen truly mean? And let's clarify that. Even if he doesn't get everything that he wants, at least there'll be more clarity around the issue, because right now you have women who are coming here pregnant taking advantage of a loophole. So to the extent that it closes the loophole, why do you think that's wasted effort? And then we'll move on to 80s Baby.
I think it's wasted effort because you could end up, I don't know if you'll get clarity if they lose at the high court. You may end up with more floodgates on it. I just don't see the constitutional strength.
What do you mean we end up with more floodgates
on it? Well,
I
think that if the Supreme Court rules that in fact there is the birthright, then I don't. Floodgates is the wrong way to say that. I think that you don't close that loophole. I just think that there may be another way to approach it. I just think that the going through the 14th Amendment argument and looking at
it's basically free, and so it's like, okay, well, how can you use that in the best sense for basically the hardest fields in the world, right? It's like, how can we speed this up? And sort of just like this reminds me of a paper Google released. Did you see Alpha Evolve, I think? Did you hear that?
Yeah. By the way, Alda, did you watch the thing that I tagged you on in the group chat? The video, the Transformers thing.
I saw that. Yeah.
Was that the sound of Elliot learning how to drive a manual?
No, that's the sound of me sitting inside of my car and it just beeping for no fucking reason because it's like it's on and the door is open, right? It's like it's on but not entirely on. It's like on before the engine on because I have like one of those, those cars, the ones that you just like you press the button, you don't even like to have to insert the key or anything. You just like press the button and it goes, and it's an automatic. So yeah, you have to like turn it on, leave it there. I like the aesthetic of like having a car where you have to physically keep the key inside of it. Like that was nice. I don't know about you, but there's like something about that I quite enjoy. Like an old little fucking like a manual like a manual what are those things called?
Ignition switch.
No. The fucking there's the company, the Toyota. It was not a Land Cruiser. It's the other one. It's a Hilux. Yeah, you have those little guys with a fucking manual turnable key and like the manual fucking transmission, manual everything, fully fucking almost entirely analog, save for the fact that you got like this thing that's at the center there. Was like where you put the disc in, but you can't put the disc in there because if you do that, the disc is fucked and the internals are fucked because it's a work machine, which means that all the dust gets in there, so you're cooked kind of by default. That's why they decided, hey, we're gonna have these little latches that we can like open up so we can put the disc inside of it. You have to like hold it as the disc goes in, and it's like, yes, nice. And then sometimes they moved away from that. They said, hey, we're just gonna like put the USB and Bluetooth, and there you go, you can be satisfied. And then you have the most retarded innovation of all kinds, which is you have this like physical thing that you put inside of the car, this like center screen thing, which then can connect to the internet. I'm like, why the fuck would I want my car having proprietary ass technology like this connect to the internet when I don't know its security? Like with Tesla, I can kind of understand that one does work, but like with this, nah, fuck that shit, man. Absolutely fuck that shit. I don't want internet inside of my car, save for the phone, and that's bad enough. Oh, and you know what the latest thing is that people have done? They're starting to like get those batteries that have like these little electronic regulators on top of them, and it operates by Bluetooth. Who the fuck? Like, huh? Why? Oh, this is like the lack of intelligence that is required to like come up with. It escapes me. It physically it's like it hurts and disgusts me. I can't explain what that